Sembrando Ideales. Bienvenidos para atrás a otro episodio de Sembrando Ideales. I'm here with my co-hosts, Dr. Carlos and Yareni, and we have a lot of topics to cover because we've been MIA for a while.
It's been a little bit. I still gotta upload the other. We have one more episode that we had. But man, it's been a crazy month.
Too much happening.
All kinds of stuff.
Los Dodgers ganaron.
Yeah, Dodgers. So
Arriba los Dodgers, arriba México, arriba Nayarit.
Yeah.
Sinaloa, don't forget Sinaloa.
Oh yeah, Sinaloa.
Sinaloa. Now I'm not from Sinaloa, but they won it for us, dude.
Yeah.
Urias was clutch. Yeah, man. So I'm glad they finally got it. You know, I'm glad. You know, like, dude, that would have been depressing. Like to go like almost 3 years back to back. I know it wasn't 3 years, but in 4 years they went 3 times, and then to not win it, I was a little worried, to be honest with you. I don't have a lot of trust in the manager making the good choices, the right choices. This time he did. And specifically the analytics. Like, I can't stand the way in which the analytics have changed the baseball. I grew up watching and playing baseball. Here's a fun note. I think it was destiny that they won, because the last time they won, I was 8 years old. Guess how old my daughter is?
Is she 8?
Yeah.
That's trippy.
That's a fun little serendipitous like happening. But yeah, the way that analytics has changed the game is just crazy, man. Like you know, a pitcher. Like, here's my frustration. Like, when they bring in a new pitcher from the bullpen, it takes that pitcher, like, you know, the nerves of, you know, an important game. You know, it takes them like a batter or two to get settled in. And they bring these guys in as if it's the regular season, because of that's what the statistics say. But the statistics don't show how someone's going to perform in a championship game. Those are completely different statistics. And so, you know, they're making decisions based off of regular season, like, you know, repetitions. And then they bring these guys in, and they either like leave them in way too long, like Baez in one of the games where he gave up like 4 or 5 runs. Like, dude, what are you doing? Or they take him out too early. Like, dude was just barely getting to settle in, and then they bring in another cold pitcher who then fucks up again. And it's like, man, you know, anyway, this isn't necessarily a sports show, but we can talk sports. So the Lakers won, the Dodgers won,
Biden won.
Yeah, that's a whole other one. You know, like, Trump lost. Let's say Trump lost.
Trump, okay, yeah. You said that instead.
Like, you know, we're excited about the other two. We're kind of about that Biden one.
We got Trump out. That's the
Yeah, that's the important part for sure. Like, and you know what? This is interesting, because this is one of the things that I think people don't really understand, is that, like, you know, I saw this poll that was, and I'm glad that they did that poll. 58% of people who voted for Biden in the poll said that they didn't vote for Biden. They voted against Trump. And one of the things that's going to be interesting is we're going to see it, the way it plays out, is there's a struggle in the Democratic Party over its future. You know, people like AOC and all the new blood, like all this like rush of energy, like people like Cory Bush, you know, all kinds of new progressives got elected. At the same time, they're trying to blame socialism and progressivism for the losses in congressional seats. And, you know, I'm glad that AOC's like, she's really affected, man, in terms of just messaging, in terms of like, she's on point. Like, because instantly, like that same, you know, that's like, you know, the election wasn't even over, still counting votes, but it was clear that a couple of Congress people lost their seats to Republicans. And she came out, like, you know, somebody came out and it was like, oh yeah, you know, we got to stop using socialism, you know, it's losing its elections. And it's all this, like, you know, this scapegoating, honestly, like, you know what? And then AOC comes out and she's like, man, fuck that. I mean, she didn't say it like that, honestly, but I'm paraphrasing. She's like, fuck that. Like, how you gonna blame, you know, progressive issues when everybody wants progressive things, and your ass didn't spend more than $5,000 on advertising? The fuck is wrong?
And it was all late too. She was like saying how they just started running ads. No social media plan, or just the social media plan all late too.
Well, that's the thing is they didn't have a social media plan. She's like, we're using fucking 2005 social media strategies. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then you're gonna bitch about, socialism again. She didn't say it this way. I'm paraphrasing. I don't want to ascribe any language that she did not use.
But in other words,
but I'm not a politician, so I can say it. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And that's the thing, man. We got these old ass fucking people in the Democratic Party that just won't let go. Like Nancy Pelosi just got elected again to be the Speaker of the House. Dude, she's a crusty old ass lady that needs to go. I apologize. I don't want to appear to seem ageist, but like, I'm really looking forward to that new blood and just new energy in the Democratic Party that they're fighting. They're drastically fighting it. I mean, if you take a look at I'm getting ahead of myself, but if you take a look at Biden's, like his cabinet picks, it's all fucking conservative, like moneyed people. Yeah, some of them are diverse.
Yeah, and it's like that's the thing that people don't understand, that yes, he got elected, but it doesn't mean he's any better. It's like what matters is what he's doing. Yeah. And clearly, like his pick so far, like no.
Well, it's representative. And this is the thing that pisses me off. Like, all right, it's diverse, right? He's putting people of color on his cabinet. He's putting women on his cabinet. But like, dude, these people come from like, fossil fuel money. They come from, like he's, people are saying that he's gonna make Meg Whitman like Meg fucking Whitman, who tried to follow Pete Wilson in California, like with his fucking conservative ass anti-immigrant policies. Get the fuck out of here. So and that's a part of a conversation I think we need to have in terms of like, like even dude, another one that I saw, like fucking can't be on me. Like I was so fucking angry at this one. And I'm angry and I don't even know why, because he hasn't even been chosen. Just the fact that he's being considered, that like, because Kamala Harris is going to be the VP, she's like, we got to replace the Senate seat. And so the governor of California gets to appoint somebody temporarily, like until to serve out the term and then have to run again. Like, so it was, a lot of people are like, hey, it should be a progressive woman of color. And some people are like, hey, it's a majority Latino state. We should have a Latino in there. Guess whose fucking name comes up?
Mayor Garcia.
Mayor fucking Robert Garcia. Like, and I can totally see it too, because he was kissing Biden's ass and he was kissing Kamala ass. Like, like when like some serious shit happened here in California and in Long Beach, like there was a mass shooting at a home, like seven, I don't remember how many people were killed, but it was pretty serious. That dude was out fucking, out there like trying to rally up Latino support, even though no Latinos support that fool. And Latinos don't know that they should, or they can't, like they assume that, oh, he's Latino, so I'll support him. And that's my frustration with like identity politics, is that this dude, y'all know how I feel about him. This dude has like gentrified the shit out of Long Beach. The city of Long Beach is 3% less Latino in his tenure because people have had to move out. He's in the pocket of developers. He's never led like on any issue. He's never said, you know what, I have an agenda, I want to drive it forward, outside of just, giving money to developers to change the way that Long Beach looks like. It looks nicer, but it's empty. Like, nobody's moving into these luxury apartments. Working people in Long Beach are struggling more than they did before he was a mayor. He hasn't led on any issue. He always follows LA, and he always waters down whatever LA does. And so how's this fool going to be our senator? Even in the conversation, like it just made me mad that he was in the conversation. Sorry, I'm ranting, but like it just pisses me off.
No, and you posted it, yeah, on Instagram, the receipts of him starting the Republican, was it?
Oh, dude, he's so I was at Cal State Long Beach and I didn't know who he was back then. I'm not going to pretend like, oh yeah, I remember him. I don't. But he started the College Republicans on campus when I was there. And I distinctly remember them and some other group, I don't remember who it was, Young Patriots for Freedom or some shit like that. It's like an off-campus group that funds stuff like this. They brought Gil, I think his name was Gilchrist or Jim Gilchrist or some shit like that. He was the founder of the Minutemen Project. I don't know if you guys remember the Minutemen Project. These are fucking like white anti-immigrant racist dudes like who like organized themselves. Nobody asked for them to be organized and started patrolling the border. Like, and in a lot of cases, these people started shooting, immigrants, like, like vigilantes, basically, like the fucking Texas Rangers did back in the day. and they hosted his ass on campus. The college Republicans that he started, that he was there for, like hosted this. And dude, he hates that people bring this shit up, dude. Like he hates it.
Oh yeah, he wishes that was like burned and out of it.
Not because he disassociates himself from that. He just doesn't. It's not politically expedient for people to know that part about him. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Yarani, I cut you off.
No, it's okay. No, you know more about it. But I saw that and I clicked on it and it's right there. So it's like you just have to question his intentions now.
Yeah. You know what's funny though is if you go to his Wikipedia page, like he has his people consistently take that stuff down and then people consistently put it back up. Because wow. I've seen it both ways, and not like, you know, way back in the day it wasn't there, now it is. It's like it's there, and then I'll check it again to see if anybody's added anything, and then it'll be gone, and then like it'll be posted. And so like, and people have the receipts, right? They have this, you know, like these interviews that he's done, that he said, you know, and he's been in the paper, that he started the Young College Republicans at Cal State Long Beach for representation purposes or whatever. And then he realizes, and this is what happened, he realizes that he's not gonna be politically for his career, because he's a career politician, that's what he is, that it's not expedient for him to be a Republican in a state that's blue. And so he never formally like changes parties, because he's in an elected position that is nonpartisan, supposedly. But he's been currying favor with Democrats. But if to the degree he's a Democrat, he's a neoconservative Democrat. Like you can put him on the right, and he's just on the team blue because the team blue is the only one that wins. It's like if you're in the AFC East, or and like, I mean, not this year, but like if you want to win, you fucking join the Patriots, you know, like that's the football team you got to be on to win in that division. And so that's him. But anyway, he came up, and I was pissed about that, and I hope he's not seriously being considered, honestly. Like if he is, I'm gonna drag his ass. I'm gonna fucking drag him so hard. And you know what's weird about this too is that like now for me, I'm in a political, I teach in the political science department. His partner, his husband, is a colleague of mine, so that adds a whole new dimension. And I don't know if he knows how I feel about him. Like, I mean, I say this shit publicly because honestly, I don't care, dude. I care about the people who have fucking been forced to leave. I care about the people who've been evicted from their homes. I care about the way in which he has shown massive disdain to people who whose lives are seriously being affected. Like I've been in city council meetings where he is absolutely disgustingly rude to señoras. And like, so I don't care about dragging him publicly. I don't care about, his identity, because I think your values matter. I think someone's values and someone's ethics and morals matter more than whether somebody checks a box or not. And I know that people don't like that shit. People don't like hearing that. It would be a huge win to the LGBTQ community for them. But like, honestly, would it? Like he gentrified the community that was their safe haven. Like the LGBTQ community went to this low income, it used to be brown, and it's still kind of brown, area that they call the Lavender District here in Long Beach along the Broadway corridor, because it was young people who in the 1980s and 90s, when there was less acceptance of LGBTQ culture in lifestyle, when there was less people like were getting kicked out of their homes by their parents. And so a lot of young people teamed up and shared space and shared rooms and stuff. And they found this little home that they can no longer afford to continue to go to. Like that neighborhood is massively. So I actually lived in that neighborhood when I first moved to Long Beach. It was $1,100 for a 2-bedroom apartment. This is like in 2012. My daughter was born. 2011 actually. In 2020, just 9 years later, that same apartment is going for $2,100. And so, these young people who want to find a community that they feel home at, mm-hmm. They used to come here, this LGBTQ community, and there used to be also the bar scene there, the lifestyle stuff. Like these young people can't afford to live there anymore. So now to the degree that it's the LGBTQ community, it's only people who've been able to afford to stay there. So upper middle class, and to this degree, like some people might even be Trump supporters, because there was a huge LGBTQ community not huge, but there was a sizable part of that community that voted for Trump. upper middle class issues. Anyhow, so Biden.
So knowing how you feel about identity politics, how do you feel about Kamala Harris? I feel like she's gonna make this identity politics issue even stronger. Like the people that were saying ACAB are now we're praising like Kamala when she got elected because she's a woman, because
Look,
she's black, because she's Asian. Like people switched in seconds.
so here's my take on that. Like, you know what? We have to celebrate victories, honestly. So, like, the fact that we have a woman VP is a victory, to some degree. I think Kamala has been a good senator. I also try to, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt to be able to change their politics, and so, like, I don't know if she's ever, this is the part that's frustrating for me about Kamala. I don't know if she's ever come out and said, you know what, I fucked up. I think politicians should be able to do that. Like, just say, you know what, I was younger. I was, in that time period, the only way you could get ahead was by doing X, Y, and Z. And I fucked up and I apologize for that. And I think I would value her as a person for doing that. Um, I've never seen Mayor Garcia do that shit. I don't think he has an interest in it. I don't think, I just honestly, he's just a career politician who doesn't really have any vision. Like, I don't know what his vision is. He's been a politician in Long Beach for, fucking, I want to say 15 years now. And like, I don't know what he wants to turn anything into. With Kamala, I have seen the way that she's tried to fight some of the Republican shit. So I give her props for that. And I hope that she leads in that direction. I honestly don't have a lot of, you know, like I don't expect it, honestly. But it's not black and white. This is the thing. We're talking about politics. I know that I have very particular views, and I'm like really strong on. But it's not binary. It's not like, oh, she was a cop, she's bad. It's like let's see how far we can push her. And that's the thing, is we need to push these people. The reason they don't ever pass any policies because we don't ever, like, we're not organized. That I'm just say that outright. We're not.
And from her last debate, I had like from her last debate and to the point that she won, I had like some sort of like esperanza that her views, I don't know why, like her views could someday be like AOC's, but not to that like full extent, but like to the point where she could fight for some things that are good. But I don't know.
And I think they will to some degree, honestly, and not the way that AOC will. She grew up in a different time. She grew up in Reagan's generation, and to be a progressive in the '80s, like, just you couldn't do it. I mean, not that you couldn't, just people didn't try to. People were too scared to, right? And so I don't think she's ever gonna be that progressive. But as long as the squad keeps getting bigger, like, there's possibilities there. If as long as the squad keeps winning victories, the Justice Democrats keep sort of supporting groups and winning. I mean, I don't know. I'm not feel like I'm gonna do a selfless plug-in right here, but this is one of the reasons that I recently started strategic Latino consulting. Is I want to help young people. Like, I don't want to be elected official. Eventually, if enough people convince me to, or somehow something happens and I change my mind, I might I think I talk way too much shit to ever be elected. But Trump got elected and he talks hella shit, so fucking maybe that's a possibility. But I started strategic Latino consulting, and I'm in the process of getting it up and running, because I want to help young people, young Latino people specifically, but any progressive people, specifically progressive. Like, we live in an age where being Latino doesn't mean you're progressive automatically anymore. Like, back in the 1980s and 90s, we were so starved for representation, so starved that we would take any brown person as an elected official. As we've come to learn in California, that doesn't mean shit. Like Jose Huizar, which I am reluctantly claiming is from my hometown in Mexico, like where I was born, he was born in Jerez. Like, that fool, shady as motherfucker, doing all kinds of dirty deals with Chinese companies, like gentrifying the shit out of East LA. Like, being brown isn't enough anymore. So because of that, I want to help progressive people like learn how to organize, learn how to run campaigns, and learn how to get elected, so we can have better, more ethical, more moral, more just representation. And so that said, back to your question, Kamala Harris, we'll see. But it is a victory, so we should stop and say, hey, fuck, we won. We beat Trump. He's the only president to have ever lost the popular vote twice.
Mm-hmm.
He never won the popular vote, and he's the only president that got booted out the way he did, by as many votes. And he's over here trying, man. And then the Rudy Giuliani. There's so much. I don't even know. I don't even know who's keeping track of time, but like, we haven't even talked about like what that week was like. Man, I was fucking dying, dude. I couldn't sleep.
I was stressed. That night of the election, I had a plan. I was like, nope. I am taking some melatonin at 8 p.m. and I'm turning my phone off and I'm knocking out. Because I wasn't going to be able to sleep on my own. Like my head was just running. So nope. I stayed off social media as much as I could.
I couldn't.
That's successful.
Me even just not knowing. Like I woke up like a couple of times at 3 or 4 in the morning just to check the returns. Like
Yes.
to see if Michigan had flipped, to see if Wisconsin had flipped, to see if Georgia. It took Georgia the longest to flip, but still. And then fucking Nevada wasn't bringing in shit. Like all
the memes helped me get through it.
the memes are fucking awesome, man. Like it was, yeah. Like that week, man, I did not sleep, and I feel you. I had to engage in some edibles to get some sleep because I just couldn't.
No. That week I didn't go to class because I knew everyone was going to be talking about it. And I was already anxious, stressed, and just, I couldn't do it. Like for my own sanity, I just couldn't. I had my mom turn off the news. I'm like, I don't want to hear fucking Univision going about it all day. It's just torture.
Yeah. And then just since then, man, it's fucking exhausting. It's like being in a dysfunctional relationship that you try to end, but they don't get the point.
It's toxic.
Oh my god, it's so fucking toxic. It's gaslighting, like fucking max. Like this fool will still not concede. This fool, like, and Republicans are like legit backing him because they're fucking spineless, man. I'm just gonna say it. They're spineless. They're scared of his support, his base. They're scared of his base turning on them in their political careers. And so they're allowing him to do all this shit without saying, hey, you know what? You're fucking up. Like, nah, like it's over. It's done. They could easily come out and say that, but they're not interested. There's so much more, man. Like I don't know. I'm switching fucking topics now. The Koch brothers or the Koch brother. I mean, technically they're still brothers because there's other ones, but like that much. Did y'all hear what that fool said? Came out.
The Koch brothers, like Coca-Cola?
No, the Koch brothers who funded all of this crazy Tea Party fucking nonsense that like has led to Trump.
What they say?
So maybe 30, 40 years ago, they got together and started putting massive, I'm talking about millions of dollars into funding conservative think tanks and conservative like propaganda and conservative elections and conservative candidates. And so the result of that was the Tea Party that just was like talking shit about, centrist Democrats, centrist Republicans who work with Democrats. And so it's led to this massive polarization where you get all these fucking, the Trump supporters are like the end case of that. And this guy, one of his brother just died. And all of it was to protect, they're libertarians. All of this is to protect their money. They don't want to pay taxes. And the way they got their money is they cheated Native Americans out of oil. It's just all bad. Like if you look at their history, it's just fucking horrible. There's an excellent book called Democracy in Chains, so this covers this. Also, a documentary called The Best Democracy Money Can Buy that talks about it. But anyway, these are evil motherfuckers. These are some of the most evil fucking people to have ever walked this country's earth. And one of them died, and the one that's left over, like out of these two brothers, there's other ones that are, they're like, man, like our brothers are crazy, but they're like hardcore libertarians. This fool comes out and he said, hey, I fucked up. And I know I just said that it's okay for you to say that, but like when you mean it, this fool is at the end of his life. He wants his legacy. He recognizes what his legacy is going to be. And he's like, I fucked up. We caused too much division in this country. Let me come out with a book that is about how we can improve our society and work across the aisle. Like, nah, bro, you don't get to do that. Not after fucking 80 years of you doing some horrible ass shit. Like you don't get to come out with a fucking social justice movement book. Dude, like he legit he's coming out with a book that's about social justice. Oh my god, I can't. I can't with these people.
So talking about harm being trying people trying to make harm being undone. How do you say that? Is that did I say it right?
How to undo harm?
Yeah, people trying to do harm, trying to undo harm. The Latin Grammys this year. So they did. They had Yalitza as a co-host. They had a few commercials that had Afro Latinos, and they had a lot of Afro Latino representation. But is 1 year enough? Like, is 1 year gonna undo the harm from so many years of representation that they have made so whitewashed for years?
No, I don't think so. And I honestly don't even think it's about the representation. I think it's about the way they run the industry. You know, the Latin Grammys is largely controlled by like the Sony Latino. Like they, you know, they have a huge influence on that. Like the whole it's a cartel. Honestly, it's a music cartel started by the Estefans.
The Stefans, yes.
Yeah, and like you know, where's the money going? Like how much are those artists getting? And so you know, I don't watch the Latin Grammys because like you like for me the music isn't actually representative of the Latino people. That you know that's an issue. Like it's not just like in terms of descriptive representation where you have you know Afro Latino artists and you have and you do have to some degree the Mexican stuff, but the Mexican stuff gets downplayed. Like
Yeah.
it.
Wasn't it this year? Weren't they like not included as much?
There was only like a little performance set with Alejandro Fernandez and Cristian Nodal.
Well, but
Yeah.
you said the Tigres del Norte.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they played
They
it. Right?
performed together.
I think in terms of like nominations, I don't think they were that like represented this year.
No.
Yeah. Which you know to some degree I'm not an avid like I'm not up to date on all the Mexican music coming out, but like all the stuff that's coming out that I know of is all the narco corridos. So like I wouldn't say that stuff is worthy of of some kind of Grammy, right? But just historically speaking, you know, like I mean, this is a critique I had of the Latino outreach in the Democratic Party also. Like in pure numbers, like if you want to reach the Latino population, like Mexican Americans and Mexican origin people make up 64% of that population. And if you're gonna do any kind of musical thing, like, you know, if you want the broadest reach, like that's Ramon Ayala, that's fucking, you know, that's Banda Recodo, that's you're talking about Mexican origin people. Like I don't know not one Mexican person that doesn't have at least those two, and Vicente and who else? You know, and if you want to include Central Americans, you can throw in some cumbias in there, right? Like that's not the kind of shit that they're playing at their events.
You know what's funny? You just like unlocked the memory. So I lived in Mexico and they do that. Like now that you're saying that, they do that. Like politicians that they're running for like office or whatever, like they'll make up songs. Like they'll use like a popular song that's like trending, and then like they'll put in like, oh, vote for blah blah blah, and use that song, and everyone like it's going around town. That's all they're
What kind of
playing.
song is it though? What kind of song is it?
Like Mexican, like banda, either
Exactly.
like cumbias,
Exactly.
and it's catchy.
I'm not saying that like they should only use Mexican music, right?
Oh yeah.
Like you know, for sure, use reggaeton, use you know like salsa, like you know whatever the other like groups
Like,
of Latinos
like
use.
Trump did. Like Trump used salsa for his.
Yeah, like Trump use salsa because it's Miami, right? And that's the thing is that our understanding of Latino in this country is so influenced by the Latin Grammys and that whole like Miami based like vision of Latino. It's a whiteness. It's like a Latino whiteness that is that has to detach itself from any brownness, and doing so means anti-Mexicanness. Honestly, like it's not popular. People don't like it when I say it, but like you know, even Biden playing Despacito, like I ain't got no problems with that song. That song's a fucking banger. Here's some advice from Strategic Latino Consulting. That song is 3 years old at least. Like don't play that song. It's not new.
We're out.
Like if you're gonna bring somebody Bad Bunny, you know that's what everybody's listening to now today, right? Maluma. Like there's some of these other like artists that are fucking awesome, right? Like play some of that. But understand that most working people that are Latino don't listen to that. Like their kids might, but we all know that youth, how do youth vote? Young Latinos in this election actually did vote in massive numbers, but generally speaking, young people don't vote. So if you want to get the parents, which is the issue, like the Latino outreach, how do you get the parents? So I saw what some Arizona folks did. That shit was awesome. They had I have ideas too that I pitched. Like they had, a banda, the fucking horses are riding their caballos and shit, and they're fucking playing banda music, and they're like doing a
riding together to the polls.
Yeah, like Joyce, the African Americans started that, Joy to the Polls, right? Where, they get some music and let's say, hey, let's all do this together. And I think that's fucking dope. It builds community. I think we need to do that. But I'm guarantee you that it's not going to be playing Maluma and Bad Bunny in our communities. Our parents just don't listen to that. This was also my frustration when I was when I DJ'd. I still DJ sometimes, but obviously not during COVID. A lot less than I used to. But people would ask me to do quinceañeras, and I got to a certain point where I was like, nah, I can't fucking do that. I don't do quinceañeras. They're like, why? Because when you do a quinceañera, nobody's ever happy as a DJ. Like the young people want to hear all the new shit, and some of it was ratchet as fuck. And it's a quinceañera, so you want to fucking, it's like it's her day. Like you want her to be happy and remember her shit, like she had a good time, right? But then you play some ratchet shit. What happens with the parents?
Stank face.
They fucking like those stankiest face. Like they fucking want to murder you. And they want to hear their shit. They want to hear the banda stuff. And the irony is that eventually when you grow up, you're going to love all of it, right? You're going to love your shit and all this, also your parents' shit. But these are 15-year-old kids who are listening to the new shit. And so like it was when I played the banda stuff, all the kids were fucking just angry as fuck. They're like, this fucking blows, it sucks, da da da. When I played all the ratchet stuff, like all the like parents were like giving me like fucking murder eye. And it was like, I can't do that, man. And essentially that's what I'm referring to here is like, if this is one of the problems, let me sort of wrap this up with Latino political outreach in this country, is that it's not targeted. It's like blanket Latino, like, oh, let's play this, Despacito song. There's an assumption there that they don't have Latinos in their fucking in their staff to say, hey, that only really applies to Puerto Rican and Caribeño type folks, because that's what the kind of music they listen to. Like, Mexicans out in Texas, they're not really listening to that, or in California, or in, like a lot of other places like Wisconsin or whatever. Like they're, like maybe the kids listen to that, but like there's no nuance. And it's really problematic that all of these communities should be outreached to, and I'm beyond the music, and targeted specifically. Like Central Americans have very specific issues that they care about. Right now, Trump tried to end the TPS program, which is the parent of DACA. Like it's the very first version of DACA, right? They care about the refugee crisis. They care about, right, obviously right now, the hurricanes that are hitting them and like destroying their communities, and they care about those very specific issues that, aren't very different from like, other migratory issues that Mexicans have, but they're unique. And nobody's talking to them about those specific issues. They try to blanket everybody into this giant fucking term that nobody really fits into.
And sadly, some people end up being like misrepresented or like not represented at all.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the Latin Grammys, like imagine Central Americans, there's no representation whatsoever at all. Like, where's the artist making it to that point?
And then it gets divisive to a point where people start like fighting over crumbs, honestly. Like even in the terms of representations, one of my frustrations, and I've said this before, is that like you can't even find Mexican actors to play Mexican characters in Hollywood that is inside of the second largest Mexican city in the world. And not that I have problems with Puerto Rico, like, for instance, Isai Morales. Love him as an actor, like, fucking awesome Bob, even, one of the, like the Mexican Americans sort of like, you don't grow up being Mexican American in the United States without watching La Bamba, right? Love the film. I got no problem with, how the actors played themselves or whatever, but like, you have Lou Diamond Phillips, who's Filipino. He's playing, the like this really important Mexican American like story, right? So we can't even play ourselves in Hollywood inside of the second largest Mexican city. Again, no problem with Lou Diamond Phillips. I love the movie. Isai Morales is another one. He played a lot of Mexican Americans in his time. You know, like, and I got no problem with that. But they always have to. That's how bad we are with representation. That like we're like taking each other's, you know. And it's like Puerto Ricans should be able to play Puerto Ricans on TV, and Mexican. There should be a lot more of these characters throughout all of it. Like one of my, I was telling this to my class the other day, I teach a media class. So like there's an actually really excellent show on TV that used to be on Netflix and now it's on Pop TV called One Day at a Time. It's actually fucking fabulous. I love it. It's a Latino family, you know, that lives in LA. But it's about these issues, and they deal with, you know, like, you know, all kinds of, you know, what used to be controversial issues, right? They deal with race, politics, LGBTQ issues. They do an awesome job with that. But it takes place in Echo Park. When I say Echo Park, like what communities, what plural are you thinking?
Well, right now it's hella gentrified.
Well,
But
it's getting
before-
gentrified, but historically speaking.
Like Latino, Central American, Mexican.
Central American, Mexican.
Mhm.
Initially, always Mexican American, Central American population migrated there in huge numbers. So these two communities. Do you know what the family is?
Are they Puerto Rican?
The Cuban.
Cuban, yeah.
Again, I got no problem with Cuban stories, but like in Echo Park, like you're still trying to promote, you know, like you're not being authentic to the community.
Yeah.
And one of my frustrations. And like I know that sometimes people are like, this comes off as me being anti-Cuban. No, I'm not. Like I'm totally not. Like that's how bad Hollywood is at representing the Latino community, is that like, you know, they think that all of us are the same. And that's actually my point that I'm trying to get at, is that, you know, we all deserve, each one of these different ethnic populations deserves to be represented in an authentic way with authentic characters and authentic actors.
It's like,
Yeah. Go ahead.
What's the Latino question then? Like it's
I
like
was gonna do that. Shameless plug. Wait.
The Latino question. It's a book that I co-authored.
Read the Latino question.
It's, you know, and the quote from that I always go back to is that, you know, this term Latino, it obscures more than it clarifies. And you know, I want to get into like the shameless plug, but the point is that like that as Latino people, each one of the ethnic groups that composes that deserves its own space. Again, not Mexican Americans, not because we're the largest group. Am I trying to take over like all of the space? I'm not saying we're the most important, but like, you know, just like on a political level, if you're trying to reach that community, you would, and you're going to be lazy about it, which the Democrats have been lazy about it. You figure you'd do the outreach to the largest group, and it's not that hard, you know. But instead, you play Despacito to them, you know. And they like the song. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like, and there's also. And it's not like each group has its own song. Like, I mean, shit, fucking, you know, Mexicans love salsa. Don't get me wrong. Like I play, you know, Elvis Crespo and some of that stuff at, you know, at parties, and they go off. And you know, the cumbias are, you know what, you know, we all clean the fucking house to, you know, Saturday morning. And that's all, you know, Central American. So like, it's not like there isn't, you know, bridging people together, but like each group deserves its own, like, you know, representation and authenticity, and also targeted outreach. And they're just horrible. They're fucking lazy about it. They don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
So, are we ready for Yareni's segment today?
I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of stuff. I mean, I'll say one last thing about Biden. I'm so glad that fucking Trump lost. I'm still worried about what fucking Trump is gonna do. Like, that fool is legitimately trying to fucking stage a coup. And like, I think people are like just, you know, they're laughing at him, like, oh, he's kind of, oh, like, you know, they're like, dude, it's over, you know. Like, I see the news, you know, like consistently they're chastising him. And there's a shit show that what happened yesterday, dude. You see that shit with Rudy Giuliani?
no.
That motherfucker was another press conference. There was the Four Seasons thing, the debacle. Y'all remember that? The Four Seasons debacle?
Yeah.
Where he's gonna talk about, you know, some lawsuits that they're bringing because of voter or whatever. And then, you know, they accidentally booked the Four Seasons landscaping company. They thought it was a prank. Like, the Four Seasons people thought it was a prank until people showed up. That, oh shit, this shit's for real. And so that was fucking laughable. Yesterday, he goes on national TV to continue this whole debacle about voter, fraud. There's no voter fraud. All of the states are currently in the processes of doing a recount and certifying the election. Georgia actually today just finished and completed its recount, certified it the same way. And I expect other states to do it similarly over the next 2 weeks. But the point is, like Trump's losing. He lost the election, and now he's lost it a couple of times. He's lost it in court a bunch of times. He's lost it in the double count. Like he's a fucking loser. And yesterday, Rudy Giuliani comes out more, trying to peddle all that bullshit, and that motherfucker starts dripping hair dye.
No.
Like black shit starts dripping from his fucking side of his face. And I don't know if this was before that happened. This fool blows his fucking nose in the middle of the second wave of the pandemic on national TV. Nobody's fucking using a mask. This fool blows his nose. And usually you fold it in, right? You fold the booger part in.
Yeah.
This fool blows his nose, folds it the opposite way, and then fucking wipes his face with the snot. This person is a disgusting ass fucking human being. Like he's some people are saying it's hair dye. I think it was all his fucking rot, honestly. Like somebody that fucking rotten has to have been just oozing rot. Like it's when one of your fruits fucking gets rotten and it starts dripping just like nasty green ugly shit. Like that's what, like when I saw that I was like, he's fucking rotting inside, and it's finally trying to escape. There's no more room for the rot inside of himself that he has to come out. And everybody was like hair dye, and I was like, I like my version better. Yeah, so he came out with that shit. Like, and I can't, dude, this guy used to be the mayor of the largest city in the country. Like, that's just fucking beyond me. Like, that's the kind of shit that sometimes I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should fucking run. Like,
if they could do it.
Like, I mean, it's not even if they could. I know that I could. I don't want to. Like, that's just, that's waking up at 5 a.m. every day. I'm not trying to do that. I'd rather help somebody. That's a lot of meetings too. I just, like there's these people that get elected that are just fucking horrible, and I was laughing, dude. I was like, this is fucking disgusting. And like everybody just saw him. And this is after the Borat thing, right? That was the 2 weeks before, where like he came out in the film and they tricked him, and not they tricked him, like, he went in with this like what he thought was an underage woman, and she's telling him to take off his pants, and he thought it was a massage. Like there was, like that. And like he got duped into that, and then it's just like Rudy Giuliani is just on a fucking bender right now. Like you think of him like he's a drunk dude in Isla Vista. If you guys don't know about Isla Vista, I went to UC Santa Barbara. It's all kinds of debauchery shit that happened there. Like fucking people get drunk and just they're like all over the place. Like imagine like a parade of drunk people. Like that's what Rudy Giuliani is living that out right now in his life. Like he's like somebody needs to fucking put Rudy Giuliani like somewhere where he can't hurt himself.
There's himself even further.
Yeah, like there's so many memes coming out about that too. Dude, the memes. We could have had a whole episode on the memes. I love
a slideshow at the end of this episode.
Yeah, the Nevada the count, the fucking Sesame Street count.
Oh no.
Yeah. All right, we're ready for one of our segments. I'll introduce it. So we want to start introducing segments on our show, and one of the ones that we came up with was. Which one are you doing today?
Critical opinions.
Critical opinions. Wait, yeah. So we're doing critical opinions, and critical opinions is basically they're kind of unpopular opinions, or just shit that like that might initially upset people if they hear it without understanding it. It's just sometimes our conventions are so like we don't ever think outside the box that like. So Yareni's gonna do a critical opinion segment today. Take it away.
Okay, so I see this often, at least in like Univision, Telemundo, keeping on like the topic from today. And on social media, I think it was a couple days ago, I saw this like thing about a little kid having to work. I think it was a garden. He started a garden business. So he could avoid from his family going into homelessness. And the thing was like the report headline, it was praising the little kid for becoming an entrepreneur to save his family from poverty. And that pissed me off. I was so mad because I see that often where little kids are praised for helping their families like survive. And it's like kids shouldn't have to work, to help their families. And it shouldn't be praised, and they shouldn't be called entrepreneurs. Like, you should be mad.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my God.
I feel that. I remember like maybe a year or two ago, there was a little kid who started a fucking it was in East LA also, a Mexican kid who started or no, was he's Latino. I don't remember. I can't say he was Mexican for sure. But he was a Latino kid who started a box arcade. So like he would make arcade games out of boxes, like not video, not digital ones. And
Yeah.
he opened it up, and people would like pay him to go see it. And like it was cool, right? And they pitched it the same way, human interest story, like, oh, like that's so cute, that's so sweet. Like, no, motherfucker, you're supporting child labor.
Exactly. And it's I don't know, I just don't understand the logic behind it. It's like I see that and it pisses me off. How do other people are like, oh my God, good for him?
They make it go viral.
Yes, exactly. Like, no.
Like, I mean, yeah, like make it go viral, awesome, so that they can get the money they need to not be homeless. But like, why the fuck are kids having to step up for their families to not be homeless? And then the other side of that is like, oh, it's because the parents don't, they're like, no, it's not that. It's our fucking society sucks. Like,
Exactly. Like, yeah, and then it gets turned into that, like, well, why aren't the parents blah blah? No, like, poverty is created and maintained. Like, it's not like people choose to be poor.
yeah, the rent goes up beyond the point where they can pay it. They get evicted. Bam, they're homeless. And even then, like, okay, so you start selling this stuff, you start selling gardens, and now the kid has to focus himself on fucking planning shit instead of going to school, like instead
and being
of
a kid.
homework and being a kid, exactly. Like, and then it doesn't solve the issue of the fact that like that like eventually, like, okay, now you're making a little extra money so you can have a place, but eventually your rent's gonna keep going up.
Exactly.
That's the part that, yeah, I feel you on that. I get pissed about shit like that all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Honestly, it doesn't make me mad. It disgusts me. Honestly,
Yeah.
It disgusts me that we live in a world where a little kid has to even think about making money to help his parents,
Mm-hmm.
and it happens too much.
Yeah.
Shit, most of my students can't enjoy their fucking college life because they're helping with the bills.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so if I was yelling, I'm sorry.
No, that's the whole point of the segment.
But yeah, so this is a segment. Critical opinions, things that piss me off. Us.
So the next time you watch an episode like that, don't fucking praise the little kid. I mean, yeah, the hustle, you gotta support that, but like, just question, like, what kind of society constructs a situation where a kid has to even do that, like, and then feel sorry about that, and then talk shit to the fucking journalists about that. Like, stop praising the like, if you were any kind of real journalist, you would tell that story and then turn at the camera and start asking, like, why do kids even have to do this, and investigate that shit. Why is his family becoming homeless? Oh, because their rent got raised. Oh, because the landlord is shady. Like, you investigate that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take over your segment.
No, it's okay.
It gets me equally angry.
Yeah. But yeah. Anything else you guys want to add, Guillermo?
I think just if you guys have the means that people are listening, you guys should donate or look into the mutual aid funding for the hurricane that's coming, the hurricane ETA, because it's coming a second wave and it's coming harsh, and the indigenous communities are really being affected harshly, and it's pretty bad for them. So if you guys have the means, look into that, please. And
we should leave. I'll look up some information and we'll leave it like linked in like the description of our YouTube page and all of it.
Cool. And then all I have to say in terms of where we're at with the election is hopefully this fool gets dragged out of that White House. Like, I actually want to see that. Like I want to see his ass getting dragged out. I'm actually scared about that, honestly. Like I know that like everyone's, oh no, Biden won, transition team, oh the electors, like that fool's trying to steal the electors. Like he's working on a plan to get the state legislatures of those states to give him the electors, and that still could happen. Like from a like technical point, it still could happen. I don't think that it will, but dude, like I don't discount this much. This, you know, like everybody paints him as stupid, but like you don't get elected president as being stupid. He might be ignorant, he might be a lot of things, but like, and maybe it's not even about him. Maybe it's about the Republican Party operatives. But stay vigilant, and we also got work to do. Don't go to sleep. You know, take a little break. You know, get some rest. But January 20th, we got hella work to do to push this fool forward, to push this fool left, to push Biden. So, like, for all of those of you that want to return to normal and want to go back to brunch, like that's another. My favorite word out of this whole thing is brunchies. All the brunchies who think it's over, we won and it's done. It's like, nah, we got hella work to do. So if you think that the brunchy thing applies to you, like have your brunch, but at the same time, when you're done with brunch, let's get to work. Mm-hmm. And definitely for sure, look up the mutual aid stuff. Let's support the Central American community that's being affected by this these terrible storms that are happening in hurricanes. Thank you all very much for joining us on another episode of Sembrando Ideales.
Peace out, y'all.